deportation as invalid, ultimately spelling trouble for the state if the judge agrees. But Snellenberg believes the interest of justice outweighs Magadumana's argument.
So the interest of victims of the offences for which the applicant will be charged, as well as the interest of the public to see justice done.
Home Affairs' representatives will plead their case next. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
Tshwane Emergency Services says all calls coming to its 107 emergency number have not been connecting to its switchboard, and that's been happening since late last night. The city has been on high alert since the cholera outbreak flared up in its northern region in recent weeks. It says for now, patients who are in life-threatening situations can call an alternative number until the line is restored. The EMS's Charles Mabaso.
The service providers have been notified and technicians are working on resolving the problem. Please call the following alternative numbers to report a fire or life-threatening emergency. 083 232 5398 or 082 879 1191.
To the markets now, where gold is trading at $1,967.60 an ounce. The rand is at 19.76 to the dollar. A pound will cost you 24 rand 65 cents, and the euro 21 rand 16 cents. Brent crude is at $72.58 a barrel. In your traffic on the N7 South, there's an accident in the left lane before the N1, so expect delays if you are in that area. On the N2 outgoing, there's a vehicle broken down in the left lane at Jan Smuts Drive. Cape Town weather today, partly cloudy, a high of 20 degrees with a southeasterly wind. Our top story, a Cape Town ward councillor says Macassar is becoming a hotspot for dumping bodies as residents continue to struggle with prolonged power cuts.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.
This is CapeTalk.
Join the conversation
with Pippa Hudson on lunch.
Good afternoon. If you're tuning in for the first time this afternoon, we are happy to have you along for the ride, even if it's only for the second half of the show. What you missed in the first hour was an update on the ongoing dispute about Botanical Society members' access to Kirstenbosch Gardens via the National Botanical Institute, SANBI. SANBI has backed away from the move to strip life memberships down to a single person. That they have relented on and said, okay, you can stay with the benefits you were told you were getting when you bought the life membership. Unfortunately, they have not backed down on the decision to do away with free access for BOTSOC members from the end of, I think it's February next year. So we've been hearing quite a bit of feedback from members who are saying, I will relinquish my BOTSOC membership and not come back, or I will stay a member of BOTSOC, but I won't on principle pay the full entry fee at Kirstenbosch. If you want to listen back to that conversation, we first played the feedback from the BOTSOC management and then heard from Kirstenbosch member Jonathan Schreier, who is rallying members to push back and say, let's not accept this, it will not do. You can listen to both of those conversations on podcast on the CapeTalk website and in the app. You can also listen back to today's Home and Garden edition with Angelo, mainly focused around leaking issues to be expected after the downpour we had a couple of days back. So some advice on high-pressure hoses in the mix as well, if you want to look for that podcast. Now, in the second hour of the show, I'm happy to keep on reflecting on your feedback on the Kirstenbosch issue. I'd also love to hear from you on your thoughts around musicals. Why am I asking that? Well, because after 2:30, we're going to be speaking to the director of the upcoming Sound of Music production about their casting of the young children who will play the Von Trapp family singers. And we are going to be talking about how much everybody loves the Sound of Music and how much this particular musical has meant to them over the years. And I just wondered how you feel about musicals. I know some people who absolutely love them, who've watched all of them, who could go and watch them again and again at the theatre or at the movies. I also know some people who absolutely loathe them and cannot bear a movie where somebody breaks into song instead of just speaking. I wonder which camp you fall into and which is your favourite all-time musical if you are in the former camp. Are you one of those people who can sing along to the whole of The Little Mermaid? Do you want to phone in and give us your best rendition of The Lion King? We're here for it. Send those voice notes to 072 567 1567. How do you feel about musicals? Love them or hate them? And which are the best in your opinion? You can keep those voice notes coming, the Sound of Music conversation coming just after 2:30. But before then, we're doing some savvy factory shopping with Pam Black, author of The A to Z of Factory Shopping in the Western Cape. We're going to get an update from her on what's available, where, how you can make the most of your household budget and stretch it a little bit further with the help of factory shops. If you want to join the conversation, call us on 021 446 0567. Send a WhatsApp to 072 567 1567 or tweet us at CapeTalk.
Lunch with Pippa Hudson.
We all have a voice.
Use yours.
Call 021 446 0567.
Join the conversation on Cape Talk.
Well, once again, the conversation turns to the rising cost of living and how many households are really struggling to come out at the end of the month, particularly given the rising food costs, the cost of fuel and transport. Just everything is going up and up and up again. So the question we keep coming back to is, how do we stretch our budgets, tighten our belts and make every cent count just a little bit more? Well, the thrifty shopper who has the patience and the savvy to navigate the factory shop system can score some pretty big bargains if they know where to look and what they're looking for. And if you're talking factory shopping in Cape Town, there is only one person you should be talking to, and that is Pam Black, who is the author of numerous editions of The A to Z of Factory Shops in the Western Cape. She's been at it for more than 3 decades, helping us navigate where the best shops are, what the products are to look for, and tips on how to get the best possible bargain. Pam, it's lovely to have you back on the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Pippa. Lovely to be here.
Thank you.
I enjoy talking bargains.
Thank you. Oh, so do we all, Pam. It's even better when we're talking about the ones we scored. So thanks for helping us. As a matter of interest, what edition is the book on by now?
Well, the 14th edition came out, and then I started on the 15th in 2021 and was stopped because of COVID. And then I restarted my research last year, and now, due to the uncertainty of, it's difficult to put times that a shop's open or whether the shop will survive what's going on at the moment and last. So I'm holding on to it for a little bit longer.
I was going to ask you, because I would imagine that a number of these outlets wouldn't have survived COVID, and if they were lucky enough to survive COVID, they will really be struggling with the impact of load shedding. So I'm not surprised to hear that, Pam. Now, I mean, the concept of a factory shop might mean different things to different people. How do you define it for purposes of your research?
Originally, a true factory shop is one that's got overruns and things like that, and they put it in their shops, all slight sort of reject garments, and they'll sell it there at their shop.
At a reduced price.
Definition of at a reduced price, yes.
I mean, I think probably my earliest memory is of a Queen's Park factory shop in Port Elizabeth, and you would go in and there was a little red sticker, a dot stuck to the pair of jeans or the top to indicate there's a bit of a snag here or a slight flaw in the stitching here, and you really got them at bargain prices, Pam, because of that flaw. A lot of the places that sort of purport to be factory shops today aren't really that anymore, are they?
No, there's some that say they're factory shops, but they're not, and they're stuff bought from China, which I don't regard that as being a true factory shop. So sometimes you have to go right into the industrial areas to find them.
Okay, that's interesting. Pam, I mean, your book has always been so practical because you can search by area, you can search by kind of product that you're looking for, and I know your website now offers the same functionality. We have several sort of hubs of factory outlets in the city. I mean, everybody knows the Access Parks, plural. I know there's one in Kenilworth and one in Bellville. I don't know if they're more than that. Are there other sort of parts of Cape Town where there is a whole cluster of them together that you can do, say, I'm doing a day trip to Bellville, knowing that my petrol will be worth it to go and shop at this whole cluster of stores?
I think if you go to Montague Gardens, there's a lot of factories that have opened up there, and a lot of food factories.
Yes.
In that area, because a lot of them supply Woolworths, and Woolworths has got their big plant out there. So Montague Gardens, I would say, it'll keep you busy for a day looking for things. And I have a friend who always comes with me, and the two of us will spend a long time in Montague Gardens because there's a lot. Besides the food, there's all sorts of other things as well that we find and discover.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I wanted specifically to ask about factory shopping for food. I mean, it is the one portion of everybody's budget where we are all feeling the pinch right now with prices going up so much. I mean, a lot of people might be skeptical of, well, what am I buying? Is the quality going to be okay? Is it going to have the longevity I'm looking for? Pam, any advice on how to be a savvy food factory shopper in particular?
Always make you go factory shopping at any time you take a cool bag with you.
Okay.
If you're in Claremont and you're going off to Belleville to look at other things, you will invariably come across something that is food-wise. So I would take a cool bag with me. But I'd also think one needs to think in advance and sort of plan your route, so you're not wasting petrol as well. Because there a lot, if you're in the southern suburbs, a lot of the shops are out in the northern suburbs or in Montague Gardens. So plan a whole route of other shops you can do at the same time.
That's really good advice, because if you don't do that, Pam, you run the risk of saving on the shopping but actually just spending the balance on the petrol getting there and moving to and fro. So that's really, really good advice. Our listener John messaging in to say, I'm on my way to a factory shop in Parow as we speak. I'm an ardent factory shopper, including Montague Gardens, which I absolutely love. Okay, John, and my colleague Bruce Hong knows how to navigate those stores in Montague Gardens like the back of his hand, and Bruce is forever coming into the office saying, who wants Italian tomatoes or this great cheese I found, or to share some of the cold meats. He just has a nose for a bargain out there like nobody else I know. I mean, Pam, quality issues, I think, if somebody says, oh no, I don't think I want to shop at a factory shop, it's usually because they have a perception that the quality is not going to be as good. And as you said in the beginning, slight flaws and rejects could be expected, but that's not to say that you can't get really good quality items, not so?
No, definitely. You can definitely get good quality items. I used to give talks, and then I would show people things that I'd bought at factory shops and how much I'd scored. And just asked my husband about how it was such a bargain I couldn't resist it. So this is always a lot. But it's also good to shop with a friend, because I've got friends who will tell me, no, that's not for you. Or this. But you always have to shop with someone who doesn't like the same things. So
okay, that's interesting.
You don't fight over it.
That's actually such a lovely idea, though, to take somebody with you who will give you good advice and say, you know what, you actually don't need that or don't want that. Because often if you come across a price bargain, Pam, you're so tempted to take it because it feels like such a steal, even though actually I never wear polo necks. So why would I buy this polo neck just because it's 100 Rand off? I like the idea of having somebody with you who's going to say, you never wear polo necks. Why would you buy that one? So, okay, food prices, obviously a big issue right now. I want to just give a mention to the frozen food element. Pam, there are quite a number of stores where you can really score on buying in bulk on frozen produce. Of course, the challenge with that is with load shedding, can you store it safely by the time you get it home?
You never have to go leave your home without the cool bag, because that is a big thing. There are more and more stores opening up frozen foods, but I think with the cold weather, I think you're safe. If you've got a good cool bag and lots of ice in it, you're okay. Getting from there, it depends where you live. I mean, there's a lovely one, Cape King Foods out in Stickland. They've got, you definitely must take a cool box, because they've got lovely things. They supply a lot of the leading hotels and restaurants.
Okay.
People don't realize that a lot of these factory shops, they're not little fly-by-nights. Cape King Foods has been there. The two Barker brothers run it, and their father had it before. It's been there, I think, from the first edition. And as I said, they've got a very good name amongst the leading restaurants. So, they do a lot of frozen food, and they've got a lovely little shop there. So that's if you're out in the northern suburbs.
Okay. I was really sad.
I think you could plan your route and maybe, put the frozen foods more towards the end of the day than
be fine.
Right at the beginning.
And then obviously leave the freezer door closed at home when the lights go off, so that it doesn't go off inside the freezer is another challenge all of its own. But point taken. We used to be very lucky at work. We had the Elgin Free Range Chicken Factory outlet right underneath our radio studios, and I was a regular visitor there. Sadly, they've moved on, but I do miss them, because it was a great way to pile up and fill up the freezer for an easy, quick meal. Okay, just for those who've come in late to the conversation, we're talking to Pam Black, who is the author of multiple multiple editions of the A to Z of factory shops in the Western Cape. And if you are a factory shopper, if you have a favorite store you want to tell us about or advice to share on how to really stretch your wallet a little bit further by making savvy use of the factory shopping system, we'd love your voice notes on 0725671567. Regan says, we love the Dierhuis in Northumberland Road in Belleville. We get lots of frozen bakery items which just need to be thawed and baked, and they are at really great prices. Regan, thanks for the tip on Dierhuis. Their name has come up before.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you just buy the stuff and then pop it in the oven.
Fantastic.
And then you can claim it that you've baked all day.
Nobody needs to know any better. I love it. I believe we've got a listener voice note on factory shopping in the Belleville area in particular. We're going to take a listen to that. And just a reminder, if you want to leave a comment or ask a question, perhaps it's 072-567-1567.
Afternoon, Pippa. There's quite a few factory shops in Northumberland Street in Belleville. And there's a fancy foods in Friederkloof near Glengarry in, we call it Durbanville. So there's quite a few factory shops in the Durbanville, Belleville area. You just have to navigate them around. And there's a new one that opened in High Street. It's called Mad Foods. So there's, I'm trying to think of another one now, but I can't think offhand. From B from Tiger Valley.
B, thanks for that. Mad Foods. Have you come across them as a matter of interest, Pam?
No, I don't. No, I don't know that one at all. I'll add it too.
One to add to the research list for the next edition. Love it. Okay. In terms of sort of finding gifts for people, Pam, I know on your website you had a great selection of ideas for Mother's Day last month. And of course, we've now got Father's Day just 2 or 3 weeks away, which is a holiday many people struggle for. Any suggestions on where to look for good Father's Day gifts?
Yes, I've actually got quite a few coming in already from my clients. The Mohair Mill Shop in Deep River, we just recently did a competition with them where you could win a mohair blanket for Mother's Day. We had one last year and it was a big success, so they did it again this year. And they've got, actually on the strength of that, my husband, I was so green with envy at this prize that my husband went and bought me one for Mother's Day.
Lovely, okay.
The mohair blankets are fabulous because they're light and you can just sort of wear it around you like a skirt.
Yes.
And they're fabulous. But anyway, they've got mohair socks for men. And they with hiking and sports and great for a Father's Day present.
And if I may interject, I took a pair of mohair socks with me to Antarctica in December, and I've never been so grateful in my life as I was for that pair of socks on my feet. Even though I don't usually go for mohair because my skin's a bit allergic, they were as warm as toast, Pam, and I was so thankful to have them. So that's a really great suggestion.
I'll tell them that. There's another one, for Father's Day. Slivers always, Slivers in Komiki always come up with gift ideas for dads, and they've got this box, a handy box that's going to be stocked with things. They specialise in biltong mainly, and I mean that's always great for Father's Day. And they've got a box of 80 grams of beef biltong and 40 grams of spicy beef and dry horse and mixed nuts and dried mangoes and chutney and salted pretzels. The whole lot. It's for $2.95, and they've got that special on the moment for Father's Day.
And it's really good quality too. I used to stop in there all the time when I spent time in Komiki. And the only problem is, Pam, once you walk in there, you might as well just take your wallet out and hand it to them and say, empty it out, because there is so much you want to buy in that store.
I know, it's very tempting. But there's also Chocolates by Tomes. I don't know if you know them. Out in, they've got various shops in Cape Town, but they've got a factory shop that's out in Blackheath.
Okay.
And they do absolutely delicious chocolates. They really are top of the range, and so it's worthwhile going to their factory shops because you can save quite a bit. And they've come up with the idea of chocolate cigars for Dad.
Nice.
And it's filled with a mousse, and those are like 20 rand each. So it's quite fun for a child. And then, if you wanted to go a bit further, you could sort of go and buy Dad a beer mug or at Fitrio Glass in Maitland, they've got a whole lot of glasses that they make for certain companies. And so these are the overruns and things. And they're lovely. You can get a beer mug or set of glasses, and that's always useful for fathers. Or a decanter. They've got beautiful decanters as well. So that's Fitrio there in Maitland.
Okay, thank you for that tip. Chocolate by Tomes, for those asking, TOMES is the spelling of the outlet, if you're looking. What about towels, Pam? Every time I go away and spend a weekend in a guest house or a B&B or a hotel, if I'm lucky enough, I'm always walk away going, I really need to invest in better quality towels for my home, because I so enjoy those lovely, soft, fluffy and absorptive towels that they seem to have in guest houses, and you never quite find the same quality in your standard stores. Do you have any recommendations on where to get good deals on really high quality towels?
Vitria would be quite a good one in Elsie's River.
Vitria, did you say? Okay.
Sorry, not Vitria. Ramatics.
Ramatics. Okay.
Ramatics. They have towels. Sorry, I'm getting the wrong one. They have towels and bathroom sets and that, and they provide one of the top. I can't name who the shop that they provide, but it's a leading name. And they've also got a section that you can get things if you have an Airbnb. They've got a separate retail section with all the duvets and covers and things that you need for that as well as the towels.
That's good to know. So that's Romatex, and they've, so you said Elsie's River.
Epping Avenue in Elsie's River.
Okay, good tip. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I'll put all these, my web designer unfortunately is ill today with grassy flu, but I'll ask him to put up tomorrow what I've mentioned, the shops we've mentioned.
That would be brilliant. Thank you so much. And that'll go on the site, which is factoryshops.co.za for those who are desperately taking notes. That would be so helpful, Pam. Thank you. Now, somebody's asking whether K-Way has a factory shop, because I'm looking for better prices on puffer jackets, which I can understand. They are so expensive, but they do work so well. K-Way, I know, certainly used to have a store in Access Park in Kenilworth. I don't know if it's still there, Pam, or if it was.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that around.
Okay, because it would be, I mean, what a find. If you can find a puffer jacket on special, that's a bargain to buy lots of and keep for future years, would be my advice. Yeah.
Sometimes some of these shops factories that make clothing for people that work in the deep freeze section. I'm trying to think of the name, in the frozen section of a factory.
Yeah.
Or the colder sections. I know a friend's father was going overseas and he was looking for a jacket, and I'm trying desperately to think of the name of the shop. It was one that made for the industrial purposes, and he went and bought one of their jackets for far less. I will come back to that one.
Okay, but that's at least a thread. Sure, no, you can't be expected to remember every store in the book, Pam. But that's a really good thread to pick up on. If you are looking for something really, really warm and toasty, think of looking in an industrial clothing outlet for the freezer section.
Brothers, that's it.
What was it?
Inar Brothers.
Inar Brothers. Okay.
They're in Pardon Island.
That's good to know.
I know somebody was looking for, they've got freezer jackets. I'm looking at my own notes.
Okay.
Somebody was looking for a light raincoat that she could just put on and, go and water the garden and things. And I know she was thrilled with what she got there, and she didn't pay a fortune.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you too, whichever listener sent us a tip of there's also a Mad Foods in Monte Vista. So that was the one that was mentioned earlier, so worth looking into. Thank you for that. And Judy's saying she recommends Calibri in Strand for towels if you're looking for good quality.
That was the other one I was going to mention. They've been there for years, and the shop never changes, and it's always just good, consistent value, very good value for money.
That's a brand name that I've associated with quality towels since childhood, so it's really good to know that they're still there. But Judy, thanks for the tip that the outlet is there in Strand as well. Pam, interesting comment somebody's saying on the SMS line, is it acceptable to haggle over prices in a factory shop, or should you just be prepared to pay what's on the tag?
Yeah, no, I would just be prepared.
Okay.
I feel majority would have marked down, and they're already suffering having marked it down or cancelled orders. Used to be terrible years ago.
Oh gosh.
Then they're stuck with the clothes, and the shop is cancelled.
And that's a huge financial blow to them. Yeah. Okay. So keep the haggling
for
the
a lot
markets.
of them are suffering so much now. So.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, a lovely comment here saying that besides the mohair socks and blankets, the Deep River Mohair Mill also does an olive oil refill. If you take your own bottle, you get excellent extra virgin olive oil, which I've been using for a long time, says this person. That's very well priced. So while you're stocking up on the blanket, take a bottle for olive oil as well. That's a really nice one. I mean, that is a really good tip, that you look for outlets that offer you refillable bottles or bring your own packaging. I know there's that lovely shop Nude in town where you can do that with raw grains and pulses and things like that. It's a really good way to save on the food. Pam, thank you. You've given us such great advice today. The last question I want to sneak in is whether there is any such thing as a factory shop for books. It's the one thing people complain they just can't afford anymore. And are there any?
Bargain Books have just closed their factory shop in Deep River Down. I wanted to cry because that's my best. And I always got such beautiful birthday presents. And I mean, I'm just mad about books. And it is. I'm looking.
Okay, keep us posted if you find one.
Shops are now, all the second-hand book shops now, but I don't know where.
Okay.
I will look.
Let us know if you find one, Pam. Thank you. And speaking of books, in terms of getting hold of a copy, the 14th edition of the A to Z of Factory Shops in the Western Cape is still available. But if you wait a little while, you'll get the 15th hot off the press in the future. Pam, your website is factoryshops.co.za. And is that the best place to start in the interim while we wait for the 15th edition?
Yes, we'll be keeping that up to date.
Well, thank you so much for all the tips you've shared with us today, and lovely to have you on the show again. All the best to you, Pam.
Okay, thank you.
Keep
Bye-bye.
well. Bye-bye. Pam Black of the A to Z of Factory Shops in the Western Cape. They've also got a regular newsletter, by the way, so you can sign up for that for free via the website, and you'll receive regular tips on new stores that have opened or particular specials that are running. One more for now from you. Keep those tips coming, though. Anonymous saying the Ina Palman Factory Shop in Deep River is in the grounds of her own actual kitchen and a great place to shop. Thank you for the tip on that one. Keep them coming if you know of other really good factory stores where you can get a good bargain. We'll share some of those after the 2:30 news headlines. For now, though, good afternoon. Robin Adams.
Afternoon, everyone. The family of the driver involved in a tragic accident in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town this week has asked for